I'm Dr. Michael Sweeney, the director of the Pediatric Neuroimmunology Clinic at the Norton Neuroscience Institute. I'm here today to talk about pediatric onset multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is an inflammatory disorder of the central nervous system. It affects the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves that connect the eyes to the brain, the optic nerves. Multiple sclerosis is a disorder that affects predominantly young people. Most people with MS present in their 20s and 30s. As many as 10% of people with MS present in their pediatric years, mostly after the onset of puberty. Pediatric onset MS is a little bit different than adult onset MS. Children tend to present with a more inflammatory or aggressive form of the disease. Children have more frequent relapses, and their relapses tend to involve more parts of the nervous system at once. Even though children have more frequent relapses, it takes a longer period of time for children to reach disability over time. People who present with multiple sclerosis in their pediatric years tend to have a more aggressive or inflammatory course, at least early on in their disease. Children tend to have more frequent relapses, and the relapses may involve more than one part of their nervous system all at once. One way of monitoring disease activity in people with MS is by obtaining MRIs. MRI gives us really high resolution pictures of the brain and spinal cord. Children who present with MS have more lesions at the time of onset compared to adults. They also may have more contrast-enhancing lesions. Another diagnostic tool that we use to evaluate people who may have multiple sclerosis is something called a spinal tap or lumbar puncture. We look at the spinal fluid for evidence of inflammation. We may look for white blood cells or an elevated protein. We also look for something called oligoclonal bands, which develop over time in the spinal fluid. As many as 90% of children who present with MS have a positive oligoclonal band result. This also helps us to look for mimics of the disease, which can present very similarly. The spinal fluid may help us differentiate between the different diseases. There's a lot of research going on in the world of pediatric MS. Research is looking at both risk factors for developing MS and the treatments in the pediatric population. Risk factors being looked at include genetic and environmental risk factors, such as the gut microbiome and specific viral exposures. Pediatric and adult MS are treated very similarly. However, there's only one FDA-approved medicine to treat pediatric onset MS. There are numerous ongoing clinical trials to evaluate the safety and efficacy of additional options to treat pediatric onset MS. Thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Michael Sweeney.